Hello friends, yet another problem with my Tundra. When I put the AC onto the knob onto the lower position here, I don't get anything in my feet. So I took it for diagnosis in a local mechanic shop, and they told me that there is one of the doors is damaged. So I went, and then this is basically is the one that was installed in the truck. It goes in like that, and then it actually just broke. And this is very cheap metal, very cheap plastic. It's really sad, but it was really in order to remove this door, you have to remove the whole housing assembly. The issue with it is that so this is now is the assembled part. I already finished working on the truck. But here is something I have with it is that this specific thing comes in a very tight spot. It's actually down here. I know it's a little bit not very clear, but it's actually down here. So I have to remove the whole actuator assembly, and they have to zero everything out. As you guys could see here, this is very interesting procedure. But um, but I have basically to disassemble this whole piece. Once the whole thing is out, I got this. I got this part swapped. How I did that? I just actually bought another one from the junkyard that came from an 18. Mine is 14, but this one came from an 18 Tundra. The guys down at the it would have been easier if it were just a swab, but the guys down at the junkyard, they damaged the. If you can see here, this is the I believe this is the hoses that they actually ended up bending when they were removing the housing from the truck. And they also damaged more than that. They actually ended up damaging a lot of other things, like the little what do you call those, the tabs that I'll be that they ended. So basically I ended up transferring parts, the doors, from this unit to my unit. And the the good thing is that the procedure wasn't really that difficult. I was quoted almost $1,400 by the dealer just for labor, and then the parts were like another $800. I got mine from the junkyard for $200. But this is just an example of when they removed the part, they ended up damaging the all of the tabs. Basically, they forced it out without removing. They forced the housing out without removing the the reinforcement inside, and so it's just they took the shortcut. I still get it for $200. It's not a bad deal, but basically the procedure for removing the housing and reinstalling it back is always take pictures. I guess one of the tips is always take pictures and know where everything will go back and how everything will go back. um, for me, the trick was to yesterday took me the like a lot of time to figure out how to put those things back together. um, Unfortunately, just because the door I have is actually down here, so I had actually to pull this thing out and then put it back again. I found a video on YouTube on another individual who also has issues with the actuators, and he could show you how to recalibrate those. But I was talking to my local mechanic again, and he said that you don't have to. Toyota is depends, recalibration could happen by itself, but I just ended up basically um, doing the recalibration, and this is just an issue that I have to deal with. Here are some of the tabs from my own. This is my own part, but if you can see here, because I did the right procedure, I was able to pull. The tabs are still fine, no problems. But just from the junkyard, I wasn't so lucky. um, and they ended up destroying the tabs, and so I had to go through the extra trouble. But it actually, the whole procedure of removing this housing from the truck took me about right around 2 hours and a half to 3 hours. There's not really any challenge. When you remove the reinforcement in this area, it's actually really straightforward. Now I had some challenge in the other area, um, which is basically the issues that I had was with the kind of those funny bolts. One of them just under one try, it's tripped, and so it's no longer. I could put my 40. I think it's the 40 is the right one that will go in there. So the 41, when you put it, so this one actually went out fine, but this one wasn't, and so it actually stripped right away. Now the good thing is that Toyota thought of something like this happening, so they put those bolts in here, and it's attached to the reinforcement plate using 3 tabs. So you put them up there, and then so what I ended up doing is that I ended up getting a flat screwdriver, which is this guy here. Let me guys show you this flat screwdriver, and then I took my kind of like electric small hammer, and I ended up hammering those little tabs in here while it's still there. I did that, and then I ended up, with another setup for removing the bolt from there. And so this one is a 15. It takes a 15, um, and so you put it down there like that, and then I put this other bigger wrench I have. You put it up there, and then you try to push it down and up a little bit, maybe for like 10 minutes, or maybe less, and then I was able to remove the bolt, because otherwise I was almost done. I had to remove the housing, and this little bolt here stopped me, but I was able to do that and I thank Toyota for doing this kind of setup here, so that if something happens in this side, then you can do it. But then the driver side again was like a piece of cake. um, Now those things, you will have to remove a little bit the cable, or the kind of like the wiring assembly. You will have to cut a little bit of those kind of plastic things here, tapes. So you just have like a sharp tool and just cut those with, and then just know where everything will go, and just take a lot of pictures of how things will go back. I guess this is the trick. Let me show you something. Another challenge that I got away with was the steering wheel. The steering wheel is such a headache, because if you remove all of it, I was afraid that I'll have to do another alignment, and I just did one to my truck. So what I did there is that I removed, there is this big bolt. I think it's a 12, and it goes in there. And so remove this bolt, and I think there are also other bolts holding it in place up there. I think those was also like another 12 millimeter bolt. So just take them out. I think they go in here, and then they go into those bigger studs. Just remove those ones out. They should be fairly accessible once you remove the whole reinforcement assembly down here under the steering column. You should be able to access those little bolts and remove them. I thought that I'll have to remove the whole steering wheel, but you actually don't have to. I ended up removing the airbag and the other mess here, but you actually don't have to. Let it rest on the driver's seat like that. Should be fine, I think. And then one more thing about this installation was the reinforcement bar. The reinforcement bar, those ones, if you guys could see here, those ones, they go inside the tab. So in order not to break anything, you will have to raise it up. So if you see here, those are the things. This is the specific tab that the reinforcement goes into, and it goes in like that. It comes from the top and then it goes in like that. So what you have to do is to raise, make sure that you don't push it forward, but you push it upward, kind of, right? So here's the here here here's the setup I have. So you will have to push it up and then push it this way, just to make sure that those little safety things get pushed up first, and then you can push it basically forward. Um, Another thing that was a little bit, I think, wasn't really tricky at all, but just remove those things, the the cooling, the heater core lines. Those are very straightforward. I have the V6 engine. I think even in the V8 engine, it should still be the same. And there is the AC, the AC lines, the pressure one and the low pressure one. Remove those, get those out of the way by removing this 10mm bolt. Just push it. Do some coordination, look inside and outside at the same time, and see if you can do that. Now there's also the reinforcement bar is also for the dashboard is also there's a bolt that you will have to remove, so you have to remove the cowl from the place here, and then get I think this was like a 12 again. You get it from out of there. Should be very straightforward. You don't have to remove the rest of the structure here. I think that's really all. So right now I'm in the stage of putting everything back together, and as you guys know, it just has been a little bit of a trick disassembling the housing itself. But if you get it from the junkyard or from the dealer, you get the whole box, you are good to go. There is no problems. Just swapping them shouldn't take you more than 6 hours. But it was a little bit of a challenge if you just the disassembly of these different things. But other than that, it's just a little bit time consuming, but it's not that bad. Like 6 hours, I was quoted like 1,200, 300 to do this job. So I'm glad that I'm getting it back all together. So anyways, friends, hopefully this will this helps you or helps anybody out there. Take your time to do this. Don't break I don't know why, but the plastic tend to break very quick on those trucks. I guess this is the case everywhere, but I just wanted to share, and hopefully this helps somebody out there do this job on a 2014 to 2018, and I think it should be the same too for previous models. Take your time and be patient, and you should be able to do it. I hope this helps, friends. Now, of course, there I didn't go into the every bolt and thing that you will have to pay attention to, but I hope it's really straightforward. This the dashboard thing was also held by a 12mm bolts. Those are kind of like you will have to push it a little bit down here, push down this the cover, the carpet piece, and you should be able to find it. It is a 12mm bolt. I think but once you remove that, you should be able to just push it out a little bit, and you should be fine, I hope. So anyways, friends, thank you so much for watching. Take care. But yet to hopefully no other repairs, but you never know.